Navy. They're your one-stop shop for all your Inter Miami CFs, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or intermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inter Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
All right, guys, we are back. Yes, talking wrestling. We are back. It is the Squared Circle Digest. I am Sean Stanley. Watching a little Inter Miami right now take on Barcelona, and probably switch over to the All-Star game sometime soon. But yeah, it's been a long time, Steve. Yeah, I was on vacation, and then I went from Fort Myers to Las Vegas, and from Vegas back here on last Friday, and now this Tuesday we get the show. So I appreciate everybody jumping on there. Dad, what's up? Boss B, Canes 1989. We're going to get started. Ric Flair's final match, it has been announced. It will be a tag team match. It will be Ric Flair and his son-in-law, Andrade El Idolo, taking on Jeff Jarrett. That's Jeff, Jarrett, for anybody that don't know. And Jay Lethal. So the announcement was kind of made. It was like a Ric Flair day, and they jumped him in the parking lot. And so that's going to end up being the match now. I know a lot of people were kind of iffy on, purchasing the Ric Flair tribute, the final show, final match and everything. And man, I just want you to know, the undercard, if you want to call it an undercard, is tremendous. And yeah, you knew it was going to be Jay Lethal. I mean, that was a given to me. They started talking a bunch of talk about there was a fallout between Lethal and Flair and all that stuff. That was just leading into what happened. Jarrett and Lethal jumping Flair in the parking lot. Or a little remind me of the Horseman and Dusty Rhodes, actually. It's kind of the action that it showed me. And hopefully my picture's jumping here, so hopefully it's not doing that to you guys. I apologize if it is. I want to read you the rest of the card. And man, I mean, we'll start. I'll just read it in the order that's listed here. So I'm not sure if this is going to be the running order. Probably not. The Impact World Championship will be Josh Alexander taking on Jacob Fatu. Then they go to the Impact Knockouts Championship, which Jordan Grace is your champion. She's going to take on Deonna Purrazzo and Rachel Ellering. You have the Wolves taking on the Motor City Machine Guns. Killer Cross will take on Davey Boy Smith Jr. The Briscoe brothers versus the Von Erichs. Clark Connors versus Rin Narita. There's a four-way, Laredo Kid versus Bandito versus Taurus versus Ray Phoenix. And then there's a bunkhouse battle royal that was added today, and the first contestant added was Bully Ray. So as those, I'm sure more people may have gotten added while I was preparing, but look, man, I mean, I can tell you now, this match is going to be, let's see. I mean, how can I put this? The Ric Flair match itself is going to be Andrade versus Jay Lethal, basically. Jeff Jarrett will get in and do a little bit of things. Ric Flair will probably get in and do his little, his cheating, the uppercut between the legs. He'll take a couple. He'll probably do his backdrop because that's the moves he's synonymous for. He'll get in, do some chops. He'll probably take a beating because he's got to bleed. Flair's got to bleed. I mean, you're going to have blood. And I don't see Andrade being the blood in that match. I can see it being Jeff Jarrett and Ric Flair. They'll just brawl probably, more than likely. And the wrestling will be Andrade and Jay Lethal. They'll be doing their flips and their flops and the oohs and the ahs, and then Flair and them will just beat the crap out of each other, basically, is what's going to probably happen. But that undercard, to me, is probably one of the better, Starcast cards that's been out there. I mean, they got Impact, they got some AEW, they got, I believe it's New Japan in there as well, some AAA. So, there's some interesting things there that could happen on that card. Now I'm not saying go and, purchase it for the Flair match. No. But I think, if you're purchasing it and it's there, and then you got to remember, as part of the Starcast, there's a package where you can catch a lot of the stuff on the Starcast site too as well. And again, check it out. It's at Starcast. I believe it's starcast.com, or it might even be under Ric Flair's finalmatch.com. There's other packages that, again, man, I mean, if you're a Ric Flair fan, look, man, I'm not really looking forward to seeing him step back in the ring. But if you want to step back in the ring, at least they gave me a great undercard to watch up to that match, because that undercard is pretty kick-ass. Jacob Fatu taking on Josh Alexander. That's going to be a freaking barn burner. Let's see here. Let's look in the chat. Let's see. My only prediction for that match is it's going to be embarrassing. Yeah, it's probably the sentiment. Frankie Fresco, it was great seeing you. Yes, Frankie, always, man. That was tremendous seeing you there. Anything better than that Sunday Stunner card? Yeah, it left some to be desired. But that's what a house show is. A house show is where they're just going to go out there and just be very, let's not get hurt, and let's put on a decent show, and let's get the crowd, fired up a little bit and things like that. That's what they're going to do there. And it's more so getting, guys used to working with each other more than anything. That's what the house shows are used for. You'll start seeing some of this stuff pop up in future Raws, SmackDowns down the line. Some of the matches you saw tonight, you'll see them, the feuds, They had the 6 women tag at the beginning. You'll start seeing, Lacey Evans and Aaliyah are already feuding. So they finally met, because on TV they keep having Lacey Evans leave. So they're just getting their timing and stuff down. That's what the house shows are for, just to have fun, just to mess around, because no TV cameras are on and all that stuff. Actually, Frankie, what was funny was I was sitting there with my daughter, and she had the card from Fort Myers the night before. It was the same thing, except that Butch wrestled instead of Holland. Same exact card as the night before. Same exact card as the night before. Different order, but the same card, same people, same card that was the night before in Fort Myers. Cap for Life, what's up, buddy? Again, it's a house show. They're not. The one thing you have to remember, when it's a TV taping, they're there between 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time, for the show. And then, so you have all that time, At a house show, you're pulling up 6 o'clock, maybe. Some of them might have got there at 6:30, 7. You started at 7, so everybody's probably usually there. Call time is probably 6 o'clock, but you'll probably have some people call in late, and again, because you had Liv was captured down in Fort Lauderdale Beach. Sonya Deville lives down near the Fort Lauderdale Beach area, so a lot of them had ties down here and just hung out down here. They probably drove from Fort Myers the night before, little hour and a half, 45-minute drive, set up and ready to go. Let's see. Steve says, wasn't Lacey a baby face when she started? I like her as a heel. She actually was a heel to begin with. She used to do what was the gimmick she did? Like an older, what was she? Southern Belle type gimmick that she did. And she always used the ladies right as her finish, but then they turned her baby face here. And I just think they saw that nobody was really jumping on board with it. And then they've turned her heel now. And then also I think the Sasha, Naomi, and other things going on, they need to get some heels going. So I think it suits her better. I think Ronda's a better heel too, but I think they're stuck having Ronda as a baby right now. I thought Rousey was going to show up. Now, if it was probably the right before the pay-per-view, maybe, but they're not going to chance that. They can't chance the big money getting hurt. Just when I thought Alpha Academy had the match of the year with Street Profits, Brock made them boys look pedestrian. Yeah, that's what happens. So the only thing I don't like about WWE does is like they build up a team to get destroyed by Lesnar, which destroys the team in my eyes. In their eyes, they're going to have Alpha Academy beat somebody soon and then go there. But bring in Paige the golfer on the undercard. Oh, my goodness. You guys and your Paige sporadic. Oh, my goodness. She's won one tour. It was on it wasn't even on the LPGA. She didn't make the cut. Let's see. Theory been getting kicked each week in the face like it's a common theme. Yeah, they're just building up for him and Dolph Ziggler. And then Theory will go over him at the pay-per-view. It's what Ziggler does. He comes in and he puts the guys over. He'll make them look like $1 million, and it'll elevate them. Whenscena wrestle again. Kane's 1989. I know he's got Peacemaker 2 or Peacemaker the second season, whatever they're doing for Netflix going on right now. They're shooting that. And what was interesting was, and I don't know if how many of you keep up with, what is said in wrestling? If you remember when The Rock and Cena were feuding, Cena said you're a part-timer because you go and shoot movies and you left the WWE. And then what happened with Cena? He went and he shot movies, right? Now a lot's coming out about Roman Reigns when he was feuding with Brock Lesnar a while ago. He stated that how can you have a part-time champion who doesn't do live shows as your champion representing your company when I'm out here traveling all the time? Now he's that guy and he's the champion. That's what happens in WWE. If you listen to a lot of the promos and things that they cut, you can always go back and see where like last night, I guess I didn't watch the very beginning of it, but I guess they had Tice O'Neil come out and cut a promo about, the it's a safe haven or some crap like that. I mean, dude. I feel bad for Titus that he had to go out and do that. But hey, let's see. Steve Chapman says, reminds me of Honky Tonk Man. Remember, he started as a face. Nobody cared, so they made him a heel. The Honky Tonk Man came in as a heel. Now, when he was Jerry Lawler's cousin or whatever the hell his name was before that, but the Honky Tonk Man character was always a heel. Now, I don't know, if they brought him in before that under something else, or maybe at a house show or something they did. But on TV, he was always a heel. Boss B said, I was almost late yesterday to Raw on the way to get kids Turnpike clothes because oh my goodness. The cow's blocking. Any injury updates for the guys that are out on AEW? Well, I do know there's nothing new on Daniel Bryan. CM Punk, supposedly the venue that is holding the all-out pay-per-view leaked the card or the placard they're hanging, and apparently CM Punk is on the front of it with Jon Moxley. Now, does that mean anything? I have no idea. I've not heard either way. Kenny Omega, I have heard, is probably slated to be in a 6-man tag for the next pay-per-view. So look for maybe something soon to happen with him, but he will be in the September pay-per-view. So we'll see when that happens. Barcelona just scored. Anybody that is wondering about that, Barcelona scored in the 19th minute. Let's see. And that's pretty much, the update. I mean, you still have Adam Cole was a head injury. Bryan Danielson was a head injury. Those guys aren't going to be cleared for a while, probably, because both of them were knocked, pretty loopy from my understanding. Bryan Danielson finished his match, and Adam Cole, they finished the match quick. Do you think Swerve and Keith? I hope so. I hope Swerve and Keith Lee keep the titles for a while. They deserve it. I don't think that, again, if you do the ROH tag titles with FTR, I don't think you have to have, the AEW titles on the Young Bucks. I think Young Bucks FTR sells itself without it being for a title. If they want to do the Young Bucks FTR 3, I think they've each won one. So that would be the finale. And a lot of people are saying that's probably where you're going to see the Omega return during that match. We'll see. But I hope that Swerve and Keith Lee do keep the titles for a little bit. I think they deserve it. Both of them are badass. To me, I love Keith Lee. I know some people don't. But I like him. I like everything he does. I think he's a big man that can move. He has the agility. You saw him do the over-the-top rope planche outside. I mean, to me, I think they're great representatives for the tag team division for AEW. I mean, that's my 2 cents on it. And I thought the way they went over in that match was perfect. They didn't beat the Young Bucks. And then also, I believe it was one of the Jacksons was actually injured in that match as well. I'm watching it on TUDN. I have no idea what the network is. It's TUDN. That's all I know. I know it's one of the main soccer channels. It's in Spanish right now, so I have the volume off, but I'm watching it. Boss B, yeah, I saw that, and they announced it's going to be the second Friday of every month. Yeah, at the Sun on the Beach. Yep, in Old Town. Yes. Yes, Boss B, you're right. You've noticed some CCW wrestlers on AEW Dark lately. They are filming that in the same area Impact used to film at Universal Studios. They are filming a month's worth of Dark and Elevation. That's the 2 shows that are on YouTube. They're filming them at a soundstage at Universal Studios. That it's usually on a Saturday from like 9 to 4. They'll film a full month of AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation. So they're using a lot of the independent guys there as well. So yeah, a lot of good stuff there, man. That's the one thing I do like what AEW is doing is they're using a lot of the independent talent to, again, that's what their enhancement talent. That's what they used to do. That's what those WCW Saturday night shows, your what was it, Tuesday Night Titans, your what was the talks? Tuesday Night Titans, I believe, was a talk show they used to have, and they would have a couple enhancement talents. They would show some matches from other shows. I think that's good when you get back to there. Who is the mystery guy on WWE they keep promoting? I'm gonna get into that in a moment here. SummerSlam is just a little bit away. Take a look at right now the card. We do know it'll be a last man standing match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, and you're probably looking at Theory. I'm guessing probably cashing in his Money in the Bank. I'm wondering if they let him cash it in successfully, or if they end up, having him cash it in and lose, because it's kind of trending that way. And now remember, this is where Theory might get into a little bit of trouble. If Vince McMahon, and again, there's a whole bunch going on with Vince McMahon. There's even more stuff coming out. The Wall Street Journal, one of the reporters was interviewed, and he said there's a lot more coming up, going to be coming out too as well. And Theory was McMahon's guy. That's what he's being portrayed on TV. Well, what happens if McMahon goes away? There was a leaked sheet from USA Network that said WWE was going to go from a TV PG to TV 14 rating. That got leaked out. Of course, it made its rounds around Twitter, and then everybody had to put out the statement that it is going to be moving to TV 14, but not. It was said July 18th was the date. The date has not been announced yet. So ultimately, they're going to go to TV 14, but that's not going to be much of a difference because NXT is TV 14. So I don't think there's going to be much of a difference. Looking at the SummerSlam, so right now you've got, of course, the last man standing match. You're going to have Bobby Lashley against Theory. So he'll be trying to get the belt back from Bobby Lashley. You got McAfee against Happy Corbin. Very interested to see how they go with that one. You've got the Undisputed Tag Team Champions. Usos against the Street Profits. Jeff Jarrett going to have a busy weekend in Nashville. I mean, Nashville's going to be rocking that weekend, and Barcelona just scored again. They're up 2-0, 25th minute. So when you look at Nashville that weekend, you're going to have all the Starcast stuff going on. When Starcast hits an area, they come in full bore. They're going to have the Eric Bischoff podcast there. Let me get through these matches real quick, and I'll tell you what's going on in Starcast. You have Liv Morgan against Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown title. Bianca Belair against Becky Lynch for the Raw's title. Riddle versus Seth Rollins was added last night. The Miz versus Logan Paul was added last night. And there'll probably be a couple more added into that mix there too. Again, probably a couple of smaller matches. I think you've got to have, well, I don't know. They might, I got to think you got to have Drew on there somehow, because again, if he's going to headline your Clash of the Castle match, I think you need to have him on. Sorry, I'm trying to find the Starcast thing here. So here is the event schedule for Nashville. This is for Starcast. Your Friday schedule, and again, I'm not going to go the times and everything, but this is just what's happening starting on Friday. Now, remember also in Nashville, you have SmackDown. Okay, they're going to be there too Friday night, but also you're going to have Black Label Pro Wrestling. You're going to have the Roast of Ric Flair. GCW is putting on a card, and then you're going to have Father James Mitchell's Midnight Karaoke. Again, they make this whole event when you look at Starcast. On Saturday, they start with the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. That's Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. You've got Insight with Chris Van Fleet. You've got the Sessions, Renee Paquette, who is John Moxley's wife, or the old Renee. What was she in WWE? Damn it. Renee Young. New Japan Pro Wrestling presents Music City Mayhem. One Last Ride for the Horsemen. 30 years later with Bret the Hitman Hart. Then they close for SummerSlam, and then they have the official Starcast 5 after party. And then on Sunday, they get it started at 9 a.m. with Mick Foley. Foley is podcast. Paige will be there. So her thing is called Turning the Page. Click This with Kevin Nash. What's Next with Johnny Gargano. And then the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. And then Ric Flair's last match will start right as soon as the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy ends. So all those are going on live throughout Nashville. And Starcast is going to be at the Fairgrounds July 29th through the 31st in Nashville. So I can tell you now, man, that's a lot going on. You got WWE in town for SummerSlam, and then you've got the Starcast of Ric Flair's final match. If you're in Nashville, or you can get to the Nashville area, and then you can afford some of those seats and tickets, man, you can have yourself a fun-ass time. Let me jump back here on the chat line. Greater Good asked, will WWE do better without McMahon? Any predictions? Here's my thing with Vince McMahon. He's always said big guys draw money. And that is always proven right. Now, when you look at what WWE has on their roster, you're looking at Drew McIntyre's, your Brock Lesnar's, your Roman Reigns, Sheamus, Bobby Lashley, Omos, if you want to go with Shanky, all these guys, bigger, larger than life. Live shows don't do that well because those guys usually aren't on those cards. You might have a Drew McIntyre like the other night, but you're not going to have all those guys on the cards on the house shows now. Back in the day, you're seeing all these guys. I remember one time I went to, it was when Eddie Guerrero fought the Undertaker at the time. It was the AAA. But you don't get that anymore these days. And I think Vince McMahon might be right on the big guys draw money, because And the only reason I say this is for this reason. I think, like, I'm going to use Adam Cole, for instance, okay? Probably 100 more times, athletic than some of the bigger guys and everything else. But for some reason in wrestling, and maybe it's because Vince McMahon has just beat everybody over the head with this, is that larger than life, larger than life, larger than life. And a lot of people can't take when you put the title on a smaller guy, take it serious. And again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I think it's because it's been beaten into you. I mean, that's all you had back in the days. It was Hogan, right? It was Savage. It was Ted DiBiase, Andre the Giant. When you start looking at them, Yokozuna, right? Those are your champions. Those are the guys you see as champions. Bret Hart started changing that. Shawn Michaels changed that. But I think with those two guys, you looked at them and said, you know what? They could handle themselves against those big guys. So you kind of had that belief that they could come back and beat them. And I think when you lose that sight, I don't know. And that's my worry with Vince McMahon, getting out of power. I know Triple H loves, and I think the action in ring might improve, but I don't know if ratings will improve or ratings will go down because, again, big men draw. That's why Brock Lesnar comes back all the time. That's why Goldberg pops back up every once in a while. Because big guys, unfortunately, draw the eyes because it's larger than life. It's not that guy that you can go and sit next to you at a bar and go, you know what, I might be able to take that guy. It's one of those things to where I don't know if they will be better without McMahon. I think the product in the ring, the action in the ring will change dramatically, maybe for the better. But I don't know necessarily if it's for the better of the company down the line. Again, wrestling has changed. It's evolved. And for as much as everybody says that, when you look at what AEW does as far as ratings, if WWE is doing those same ratings on the channels they're on, they're probably off those channels. They're probably moved off of. If Raw is doing the same number that AEW Dynamite is doing on USA, they're probably pulling the show. Or they're going to rework the contract and they're not getting that money. And that's one of the things to where, again, it's a publicly traded company. It's one of those things to where, you answer for stuff like that. So we'll have to see. All right, you guys are talking about something there. Let's see. Boss, we said Raw was awesome, but if you're not in the front row, front on the floor, I suggest sitting in the seats on the side. I had to look up at the screen above. Yeah. That, and then, I don't know, Boss, did they let signs in? I used to hate sitting. What I used to do is get second level, first row, usually wherever the ring was at, so I can look down into the ring. Just because when they started doing the sign stuff, that used to aggravate the hell out of me. And again, it's because the kids are having fun. They stand up on their seat, they throw the sign up, but I'm sitting right behind them like, oh, I paid $75 for seats and I can't even see the damn show. So, let's see. Do you think Logan Paul? You know what, man? He looks so stiff. I know he's athletic, and I don't know why they brought him in as a. And I'm talking about Logan Paul here. I'm sorry. I read the question and I started answering it. Frankie Fresco asked, Sean, do you think Logan Paul will do well? I feel the segment at the end of Raw did not get that much hype from the crowd. No, it didn't. It didn't. He felt kind of robotic. Like he was trying, like, oh my God, I can't forget my line on my first night here. I can't forget my, and, again, athletically, I don't think he's going to have an issue, but I think he might have the same problem like Ronda Rousey had. I mean, dude, Logan Paul's not a guy you want to cheer. I mean, I don't know why they're going to make him a babyface against The Miz. They brought him in perfect as a heel. Let them show what they show every time when they're setting up for their boxing matches. Let him be that guy. Let him be that damn antagonist. Those guys can do that. And instead, you want people to feel sympathy for him against The Miz? I don't agree with it. And again, I'm not there every day, all night, and all this stuff. But also one of the things is they set this up with The Miz, face planting him at WrestleMania so that they could bring him back. So this has been getting worked for a little bit. But ultimately, I mean, I wish they would just keep him a heel because personally, it just does nothing for me. I mean, I'm not going to have sympathy for Logan Paul, and I'm sure as hell I'm not going to have sympathy for The Miz. So to me, I don't care. The match really is a throwout in a way. Let's see. Yes, signs are out. Yeah, okay. Hey, Boss B, Frankie's asking, how was the segment with The Miz live? Because again, also remember, WWE pipes in sound for some reason, regardless. If the crowd's alive, the crowd's dead. They still feel they got to pipe in more noise to make it sound better on TV. It's ridiculous. Let the live audience just be the live audience, man. Let's see. The younger kids like Logan Paul from what I noticed. Okay, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Drop my little sheet with the rundown here. Okay, and earlier I forgot. I think it was Frankie asked about the vignettes that were popping up on the great old vignettes that have been popping up on Raw. Everything that I've read and everything that I've been told, it is leading up for the return of Edge. And what it will probably be a 6-man match. But this is actually, it's probably going to be a tag team match, I'm thinking, which is going to be Rey Mysterio, because again, Edge is supposed to re-debut back at the next Raw, which is at MSG, which is Rey Mysterio's 20th anniversary. So my thinking is one of two things. Either Rey Mysterio comes out for his 20th anniversary. Of course, Judgment Day is going to come out. Something's going to happen, and Edge will probably come out, make the save, set up a match for SummerSlam. The only thing I don't know, and I haven't been able to figure out this part of it, is where does Dominic Mysterio lie? I know they hit them with the chair and they threw him out of the ring and everything else, but do they take out Rey Mysterio at the 20th anniversary and make it Dominic Mysterio and Edge versus Judgment Day, or is it going to be Edge and Rey Mysterio taking on Judgment Day? And then I'll ask you guys watching right now, which one would you rather see? I know which one I'd rather see, but which one would you rather see? And the other thing is, I mean, Frankie, I agree with you in a way. One of the Mysterios going heel, but I thought it would be Dominic the way they're doing. And I don't see Rey going heel, man. I can't believe Rey as a heel. I just can't, man. I can't, especially in like Judgment Day. What is he going to do? Just dress up in all black? So when was the last time The Miz was good? Right when they launched Miz and Mrs. the first season of Miz and Mrs. was when he was a babyface. Balls, we said, Frankie, I think it was a mixed bag with that segment. People got a good laugh with the tiny balls and then Miz showing his undershirt. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, it's one of those things where it's like, but yeah, so Edge is supposed to return, and Edge is supposed to be what those vignettes are for. Because some people are thinking it was more for possibly a Bray Wyatt return. But if you watch the vignettes closely yesterday, there was an RKO shirt. There was the Mick Foley flannel was on fire. There's been a couple of the Latino Heat things and things like that, which would not resemble Bray Wyatt. So ultimately, I think that's going toward, I feel it's going toward Edge. But again, we've seen WWE the way they did the swerve with Judgment Day already once. So, could they do a swerve and have, Dominic Mysterio be the reveal even though Edge returns. You never know with WWE, honestly. You never know. They overthink stuff so much. You never know. Frankie Fresco says, after going to WWE, I honestly prefer AEW shows. AEW is more more fan friendly. AEW is fan friendly. They have meet and greets. They have, more stuff set up for the fans. AEW is definitely more for, the fans, as far as, the presentation is more for the fans, I should say. Because again, they're trying to build it up. WWE doesn't have to build it up. They're there. You're going to go regardless. We already see Rock versus Roman for the titles. I think we'll see Rock versus Roman. I just don't know the titles are going to be involved. I mean, at some point, and Barcelona just scored again as long as there's no offsides. This might get ugly. It's 3-0, 41st minute. But how long do they keep the tribal chief going, man? I mean, their chance right now is to get the title off of them and put it on Theory. That's their only shot right now. Because Brock can beat him down and leave him for, there. Because at Clash for the Castle, I don't think anybody beats Roman in a one-on-one match, is all I'll say. I just don't see it coming down to Roman dropping the belt to somebody in a one-on-one match. It's going to have to be and in a way, that's why I thought Theory was a weird person to give the briefcase to, in a way. Because, I mean, yeah, he's the scrawny guy, but does he cash in on... I honestly was hoping Sami Zayn would get the damn briefcase. That's what I was hoping for. Sami Zayn get the briefcase, do all his stuff where he was never going to cash in on Roman Reigns, and then have Roman Reigns laid out. Like, Brock Lesnar do like 3 or 4 F5s. He's just out in the ring, can't move. And then he comes in and cashes in because he can't pass it up. And then let Sami Zayn weasel around for a while with the title. That's a way I think. Let's see. I like the independent scene. Haven't been to AEW yet. My $40 gives me a front row to yeah. I mean, again, you're not, to me, honestly, the independent shows, you're never going to beat as far as being fan access. You're never going to beat the access you can get at independent shows, just because most of the stuff is right to hell. There's some venues the wrestlers have to get dressed in the bathrooms, in the public bathrooms, because there's no changing area. That's happened a couple times. So again, I think independent to me, and then also you start seeing guys that are hungry too. You see guys that are hungry that want it. So sometimes the shows get even a little bit better. Sometimes they go a little bit long. But I think for the money, you can't beat an independent show. And then you start getting your special guests, like Gangrel's on a lot of the CCW shows because he helps train there. You got guys that get brought in. Jacob Fatu is on a lot of the shows because Gangrel, with Rikishi and those guys in California. So, you see some guys there working together. But to me, you can't beat an independent ticket. You can't. Especially when they have talent from AEW or whatever, because those talents usually take time out and you get to see a different side of them. Is Roman taking time off soon? He's already taking time off. He's only doing the SmackDowns and the Raws now. He's not doing any, and he's only on the stadium shows. So that's one of those things to where he's basically got the Brock Lesnar contract. That's what he is. He's a part-time champion, which is what he complained of. But also, he's got a lot of things going on. I mean, during COVID, he didn't take a lot of time off once he came back. Now, at the beginning of COVID, when he couldn't travel and things like that, well, nothing he could do. But, he puts it all in there. So, can't fault him, but, it's what he's got to do. Sean, what was that the maximum male model they did on Sunday. That's something that's now coming on Raw. That's LA Knight from NXT. I don't know if anybody's seen LA Knight from NXT. They gave him that role. And it's Mace from Mace and T-Bar. That's who that the Massey guy is. And then Mansoor is Mansoor, who used to be Mansoor with Ali. They just repackaged them and made them models and had LA Knight give them things. Funny thing about this, and then again, there was talk of Adam Cole coming up to the main roster back before, his contract, the whole thing came apart with his contract and all that. And they're talking about bringing him up in a managerial role. And there's been a lot of talk lately that was the role they kind of wanted Adam Cole to do. I think Adam Cole made the right decision. Run. And again, they've already buried that with the way they've debuted it. It's just, to me right now, it's an infomercial to give people some time to run to the fridge, fill up their drinks, run to the bathrooms. So while those vignettes are on, it's giving Vince McMahon and whoever's in the back there time to laugh and have fun and be like, ha, 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 look what we're doing to these guys. Because other than that, shit makes no sense. Where do you see CCW? There's quite a few places. Boss B's got them all. Yeah, they had QT Marshall was there as well, yes. Let's see. Yeah, Boss B, man, he goes to all the CCW ones, and another one too. I forgot the other one. But Boss B's going to supporting a lot of the CCW ones, and hopefully I'll be going out to a few of them here coming up. Probably September-ish, maybe, depending on the things in the works that we have here with the show and my commitment there. Just gets a little bit too much trying to get the family time and then all the work. As soon as I get done here, I got to do some stuff for the show tomorrow. And so, there's no time for the weary here. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Unbranded. Okay, you're talking about the unbranded. Good deal. Why is AEW doing a barbed wire match on Wednesday? Because they can. That's and they don't have pay-per-view, I think, until September now. So, I mean, it should be a pay-per-view fight, but also, I mean, here's my thing though. When you get to the barbed wire match, like, I mean, and I don't mean this bad, but if you're in a pay-per-view and headlining it is a barbed wire match with Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, that's headlining the pay-per-view. $49.99. Are you buying it? Are you buying that match if it's headlining pay-per-view? And I'm not trying to make it seem like, because I'll watch it, but I don't think I would be buying a pay-per-view just for that match. Just because I don't understand, one, what the hell they're trying to do here. What are you trying? You're trying to be ECW-esque. You're playing toward the hardcore fan, but you need more casual fans to grow. AEW, the fans they have now are the fans they're always going to have. Those fans aren't leaving them. Excuse me. Their numbers are the same week in and week out. The same 875,000 and 900,000 people will watch that show regardless. You need to get some of those casual wrestling fans over. You're not going to do that with a damn barbed wire match. You're not. Frankie says, I don't think it should headline, but it should be on the other. But again, here's the thing I'll ask you, Frankie. And what kind of, you know what? I'm going to use the Sunday card, Frankie, because you watch the Sunday card, okay? Match one was just a match to get everybody going, right? With the 6 women tag. Then it went to match 2 was kind of a sleeper a little bit. Match 3 picked it up a little bit. And then match 4, right for intermission, was New Day against the Usos, which is a main event match because that main evented the first part of the show. They broke it down into 2 cards. They had they took that show and they built it up. Then they had a main event and then they went to intermission. Then they came back and they built it back up with the first match, the second match, and then they had the main event to go home. Where do you put a barbed wire match on a card that it's not going to ruin? You saw how it kind of went up in the, right? The Usos and New Day went on, and then it went to intermission. So you can kind of deflate back down, right? And then now they start back low and they build you back up to get to the top match. If you throw in a barbed wire match in there, who follows that? I mean, what are they going to do? Jump off the top of the building? Because that's going to be tough to follow that, especially with hardcore fans. Yeah, no, I'm not saying good matches, but what I'm saying is the way they built up to those matches. The Usos and the New Day were the main event of the first part of the card. And then, of course, the Drew McIntyre match was the main event of the whole card. But that's usually how they build it up. Again, I mean, and Boss B might see some of this at some of the shows he goes to. When I was wrestling, one of the things they said was you had your first match that got the crowd going. You get your crowd, popping. They're always, the guys will come out and they'll get the clapping going. They'll do the hooping and the hollering and everything else like that to get the crowd going. Second match, yeah, give them a break. Third match, you get their attention. Fourth match, you go into intermission. It's just like that. Let's see. He says, but Sean's pay-per-view, it should be continuously good. Nah, you do a title match. Yeah, but what do they do for a title match, though? My thing is, you can go out there and go, but how deflated is that crowd going to be after hooting and hollering for a barbed wire match where there's probably blood everywhere? And now you're going to go out there and have a regular wrestling match for a heavyweight title? It would have to be like a Moxley street fight or something. I mean, they can't just go out there and have just a basic match one-on-one for a title at that point. Not after a barbed wire match, So that's one of the things. And then also it's the problem I think also with the WWE shows is, and Boss B's kind of said it right here on this when it popped up, it's the energy, man. Those guys, they've been doing that. They've wrestled Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and now they get to go home on, they wrestle Monday again, and then they go home. Half the energy is probably gone from those guys. They're not punching cards and they're like, hey, they go through the motions. You saw it, right? I know you saw it, Frankie. There was misses everywhere in that thing. It was just like, hey, let's just not get hurt. Let's not get hurt. That was basically what that show was. There was a super kick that he had to slap his foot. It was so bad. Let's see. Let me give you an example. Royal Rumble. I always think it's better than usually the last match. Yeah, but here the thing with the Royal Rumble though is it's setting up for WrestleMania. So usually that one will main event sometimes. Depending on how they want to do it. For the most part, Royal Rumble, the match, whether it's the women's or the men's, depending on who they want to focus on, one will usually start the show and one ends the show now. Back in the day when it was kind of, just setting up for whoever won it, yeah, you could have, see, it was terrible. Yeah, there misses everywhere. Yeah, there was, but I just was looking for the straight bad misses. There was just, and the audio too, by the way, they had the ring mic'd, and I don't know if you kept up with that, but you could hear stuff, and it's one of those things. Seth Rollins, Ezekiel had some, yeah. You start going too quick. You start going too fast. And then also sometimes with TV, the problem gets too on TV is the ref's got a earpiece in. If something happens and they're like, oh, you got to go an extra 2 minutes. 2 minutes is an eternity on TV. So now you've got to sit there and try to figure out, okay, how am I going to get 2 more minutes out of this match? Or they call and they're like, take it home. And you're in the middle of doing something, and now you got to get it to the spot to where you have to take it home. There's a lot of time. I remember one time we did it wasn't even like it. It was like one of those things where you do it for TV, but it's not. It's like what Fight TV is now, but it was before Fight TV. So it was like one of those things where we were streaming it, and it was one of the best and probably worst experiences I had, just because you're in the back and you're told, okay, you've got 12 minutes. Okay, then the match in front of you went over 2 minutes. So now they're like, okay, 10 minutes. Then the main event, while you're walking to the ring, hey, we need an extra 2 minutes for the main event. Oh, okay, take 2 more minutes off them. Okay, so now by the time we get to the ring, we're down to 6 minutes. Our intros were already 3 minutes. Guess how long our match is? 3 minutes. So now that 12-minute match we worked in the back, by the time walking to the ring, is down to 3 minutes of action. Yeah, it's one of those things. It happens. So I can only imagine what they're going through, because that is money. That's money they're wasting if they go over. That's one of the things that's why they harp so much on the time. And when people go over time, like there's so many matches like at WrestleMania that get pulled because they got a time constraint. They got to hit out with the pay-per-view time, and just maybe not as much now since they're on like Peacock and things like that. But when they had the days like AEW, you have that time. I'll never forget the first ECW pay-per-view. And I'm sure many of you have seen the documentary. They were literally doing the 3 count. And as they were doing that, the credits are starting to roll through because they're done. They almost didn't get the finish of the pay-per-view during the pay-per-view because the time had ran over. They got it just in time with Terry Funk winning. It's time is money, man. Sometimes, so you don't know where it's going through, but yeah, there's definitely some missteps, especially again. I don't know how long Seth and Ezekiel have been working together. I know they did a match the week before on Raw and stuff like that. I mean, things have changed a lot since COVID, and they started working just on the Monday, and there was no travel. Now at least they're getting to work against guys building up for the timing and stuff for the matches. So that's getting better there. Let me see what else here. I think that was pretty much everything I had. We got AEW tomorrow. The barbed wire match, of course, will be there. I guess front and center, right? Not only is it a barbed wire match, but apparently Jericho Appreciation Society is in a shark cage. Why? Discovery has Shark Week coming up. Can you imagine that? Discovery, who owns, the TV rights for AEW, putting a shark cage in there to, I wonder if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson will show up. He's like the master of ceremonies for Shark Week. Wonder maybe if he'll be there to do a little introduction for AEW. That'd be something. I wonder if WWE's got him under a deal or not. Or if he could just do that and show up. Because, again, Discovery is doing Shark Week. AEW is part of the Discovery umbrella. And that is that's why they're having the shark match, the shark cage match there as well. So we'll see how AEW goes. Again, I think AEW cards, to me, more action-packed. They're a lot better, action. Sometimes maybe a little bit too quick, too fast sometimes, things like that. I think they're more fan-friendly, especially their fans, the hardcore fans, traditional fans. Might not, it might be a little much for some of the casual wrestling fans, what they do. But, and I've talked about before, I don't know what the right recipe is yet because they're still young. They're still going to make mistakes. They purchased a lot of big money talent. I don't know what the contracts are that they've signed. I'm still trying to research that to see what they're getting, or at least a ballpark, and who's paying them. But I do know now, There's a lot of guys' contracts not being renewed that went through a lot with AEW during the COVID era and then things like that. But again, it's about making money. It's about growing the product. And I don't know 100% if Tony Khan and them have got everything figured out yet. They're still, to me, feels like they're putting a square peg, or they're trying to fit, what is it, the square peg into a circle, or a circle peg into a square, whatever the hell it is, excuse me. Whatever that saying is, it just feels like there's something missing, and I don't know what it is, because I watch it and I'm entertained. I've been to the shows. They do a lot for their fans at the shows. They have meet and greets. Yeah, they're additional prices. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's not like they just sit people up there and out there and do everything. But Frankie, that's Marco Stunt. Marco Stunt was the guy you're thinking of. But they do make it very, fan friendly for you at AEW. You're pretty close to the action. You get to sing along with Jericho. The people in the ring, usually if there's a chant, they'll let it go. They acknowledge it. Whereas sometime in WWE, you have a few guys and gals that do, but for the most part, they don't. But man, I don't know what the right recipe is, man, because again, you have CM Punk, and this is before CM Punk got injured, before Daniel Bryanson or Bryan Danielson got injured. It just, the numbers still weren't there, man. They weren't even doing 1 million. They were 900,000. And it's just, their pay-per-view buys are decent. I mean, they did 6 million between gate sales and everything else. How much of that money stayed and went to, something else? I don't know. But we'll have to see. Frank Sylvester said he said he was grateful for the opportunity, but Khan kind of disappeared when he was going to let them go. Yeah, well, the problem too is this. I think Tony Khan, again, he was a wrestling fan. And I think what happened at the beginning of this was he was that fan. And then he realized that, like, wait a minute, I've got to be a boss. I'm going to have to fire some of these people. And I think at times it's great to have that family environment, the family atmosphere, because that's not the case in a lot of, look, what I hear in WWE is you have your little shells of people that, they all work together and they have their thing together, but there's, hierarchy, the producers, the talent, the executives, there's a hierarchy there. When you looked at AEW, that wasn't there. They did that tier level pay, which has got them in trouble with MJF. I'm not sure where that situation's at. We'll have to see. My money is on he returns to AEW, but as a surprise type thing, not as, like, if I was them, I would milk it. Because, and somebody else said this the other day, is it almost feels like the CM Punk, right? Remember when CM Punk did the whole thing and he walked out, but then they brought him back, a week later or two, not even maybe 2 weeks later, they had him come back in when Cena, right? Cena, I believe, won the championship match over Rey Mysterio. And then Cult of Personality hit. That's when CM Punk first came out with Cult of Personality, and then came out and they both had the belts. They only let it sit for a week. I like what AEW is doing here. And again, I don't know whether they're doing it or it's whatever. But to me, it is bringing out a better result for them without having MJF be there every week. Whatever the case is, if he leaves, he leaves. It doesn't hurt him. But if he comes back and he's been gone this long, and all of a sudden he just pops up out of nowhere, it's gonna capture something. Let's see. Do you ever see AEW reaching the same levels WWE or getting close to them, like when WCW got really big? No, they'll never get. They might get to the level of Raw 1.5. They'll never get to SmackDown. Now I'm talking ratings wise. And that's because, again, that's on a national, Fox is on a nationally syndicated channel. So you can go to almost every home with Fox. You can't do that with USA. You can't do that with TBS. You can't do that with all the other ones. They're cable companies. So, I think they can get, as, viewer-wise, what Raw, that would be my goal, to get to 1.5. Will they reach the same level as WWE as a company? No, because WWE is more than just wrestling. And AEW is doing a good job with the music side with Mikey Ruckus and all the stuff they're doing there. So maybe they're starting to put that together a little bit. But you have to remember, WWE still has movies. WWE has the music. WWE has the wrestling. That's why it's World Wrestling Entertainment. So they're higher on other levels as well than just wrestling. So I don't see that happening. I think they can strive to get to a number like 1.5 on Raw as a company. No, unless something changes, economically, or there's a boom in wrestling. You're not going to get that anymore because there's just too much. Or maybe if they can finally figure out a way to check all the streamings and get numbers for that. I don't know if they can do that yet or not. Maybe they're being streamed more than what WWE is. Maybe they are on that level, but they need, and I don't even know that it's that Star. Like, I know I see he's there. They need like a Rock. I don't know if that's Star. Yeah, I've watched the WWE special on A&E. I thought they're pretty good. I love those type of shows though. I love the behind the scenes and all those. Excuse me real quick. Some water. I love all the docus. Sorry about that. But no, I love all the WWE specials that they have on A&E. The Rivals. I've been watching them for quite a while. But all right, guys, I want to thank you for the Tuesday night hangout here tonight. We're back on Thursday, 8 o'clock. Jim Ross is going to work until he wants to work. I think that's what's going to happen there. I think Jim Ross will be there for a while. Right now, he's only doing, looks like the second hour to bolster it a little bit. And I think they're slowly, again, man, he's getting there. He's getting up there and everything else. But ultimately, I think, JR should be able to do it till he wants to do it, man. Let him make mistakes. And again, you don't know whether, look, he might have made a mistake one time and they're just like, hey, play it up. Again, he was supposed to be at Ric Flair's tribute show doing the announcing, but now it's going to be Tony Schiavone and David Crockett, the old TBS guys, back together again. And as I was saying, in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.
If you're a Miami sports fan, there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise.